Books for Africa is changing the world. It's changing the narrative on the continent. Hope is what this organization is giving and has continued to give and is giving through these books every single day.
I mean, what a tragedy. How many generations of children have grown up without any reading material? They built a library in Uganda. It had a librarian, it had card files, and it had all these empty shelves. It did have a few books given by the British Council, probably in the 50s, and they were hardbound books like this, but the spine was worn off. I was in the Minnesota Book Publishers Round Table, and I said, look, there's this library in Uganda, it has no books. Look at all these surplus books. When they're done, we throw them away. Why don't we just gather them together? So we sent a couple of mailbags to this library, and the seed was planted. It just grew from that.
If children have access to a book, it illuminates their mind and it brightens their horizons. So Books for Africa makes it possible for them to dream and imagine what it will be like.
And that's when we got hit up by a teacher from Kinshasa asking me for a biology textbook and a chemistry textbook. She says, you know, you don't really understand what no visual support actually looks like if you're trying to commit the periodic table or balance the chemical equations with no visual support. Books are technology, they're just old technology.
Our board members are passionate about books, they're passionate about Africa, they're passionate about getting things done. So you put all that together, it's why we've been successful sending books to every single country in Africa. We welcome support from everywhere, whether it be Somali cab drivers or a former UN Secretary General.
The reason a lot of the African immigrants have latched on to Books for Africa is because a lot of them travel back. When they go to the library, they'll see the books. So they come and they find out about Books for Africa, and then before you know it, there's a container going there.
We have a huge variety of volunteers, and we also have a lot of them. We have lots of corporate groups. We have some people from the African diaspora. We have student groups. We have church groups. We try to make them feel at home and give them a reason to want to come back.
The big picture is really important, and we need to help every child in Africa. You know, with 400 million children on the continent and growing, if we grow 5% a year, that's about what the population is growing, maybe even more. We're just going to never catch up. We can't be content with sending 3 or 4 million books a year. We do have to do more.
A child on ground looks to the sky, sees a plane. That plane looks this big, but you always hear from your friends and parents, oh, it's an aeroplane. A book is shipped from Books for Africa, and it arrives in the hand of this child. And what do you see? A plane. And the connection is made. The cockpit, the seats, the engine, food is served. Now a question comes up. How do I get into one of these? Or how do I make one of these? Imagine sending a book to that 8-year-old that becomes 30, and now you wake up, you walk on a flight, and he's the one flying a plane, and he remembers you and says, thank you. And that's where the journey starts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to the 35th anniversary and gala for Books for Africa. As you're entering the space, we have volunteers who are guiding you toward your tables. And we really hope that you'll take this time, the next minute or two, to find your tables, find your seats. Each of you will find that at your table settings, there's a name tag that you have, a number of the table that you're seated in, or at, behind the preposition, pardon me. And then there's also a name tag or a table tent that has your name and your bitter paddle as well. A lot of details, a lot of information. So if you'd kindly take your seats, our program will begin shortly. While you're doing so, I'd like to have my friend Tom West play a little something for you from the piano as you're making your way to your seats. We thank you for being here for Books for Africa for this 35th Anniversary Gala celebration. We can't wait to get our program started. You're in for a real spectacular evening. Tom, take it away.
Books for Africa is changing the world. It's changing the narrative on the continent. Hope is what this organization is giving and has continued to give and is giving through these books every single day.
I mean, what a tragedy. How many generations of children have grown up without any reading material? They built a library in Uganda. It had a librarian, it had card files, and it had all these empty shelves. It did have a few books given by the British Council, probably in the 50s, and they were hardbound books like this, but the spine was worn off. I was in the Minnesota Book Publishers Round Table, and I said, look, there's this library in Uganda, it has no books. Look at all these surplus books. When they're done, we throw them away. Why don't we just gather them together? So we sent a couple of mailbags to this library, and the seed was planted. It just grew from that.
If children have access to a book, it illuminates their mind and it brightens their horizons. So Books for Africa makes it possible for them to dream and imagine what it will be like.
And that's when we got hit up by a teacher from Kinshasa asking me for a biology textbook and a chemistry textbook. She says, you know, you don't really understand what no visual support actually looks like if you're trying to commit the periodic table or balance the chemical equations with no visual support. Books are technology, they're just old technology.
Our board members are passionate about books. They're passionate about Africa. They're passionate about getting things done. So you put all that together. It's why we've been successful sending books to every single country in Africa. We welcome support from everywhere, whether it be Somali cab drivers or a former UN Secretary General.
The reason a lot of the African immigrants have latched on to Books for Africa is because a lot of them travel back. When they go to the library, they'll see the books. So they come and they find out about Books for Africa, and then before you know it, there's a container going there.
We have a huge variety of volunteers, and we also have a lot of them. We have lots of corporate groups. We have some people from the African diaspora. We have student groups. We have church groups. We try to make them feel at home and give them a reason to want to come back.
The big picture is really important, and we need to help every child in Africa You know, with 400 million children on the continent and growing, if we grow 5% a year, that's about what the population is growing, maybe even more. We're just going to never catch up. We can't be content with sending 3 or 4 million books a year. We do have to do more.
A child on ground looks to the sky, sees a plane. That plane looks this big, but you always hear from your friends and parents, oh, it's an aeroplane. A book is shipped from Books for Africa, and it arrives in the hand of this child. And what do you see? A plane. And the connection is made. The cockpit, the seats, the engine, food is served. Now a question comes up. How do I get into one of these? Or how do I make one of these? Imagine sending a book to that 8-year-old that becomes 30, and now you wake up, you walk on a flight, and he's the one flying a plane, and he remembers you and says, thank you. And that's where the journey starts.
Where would you go? How would you live? What would you give to the motherland? Who would you be? Can you tell me? Would you walk free in the motherland? You say that you're proud, you say it out loud, but yet you just walk with the crowd and just talk about the motherland. Oh, you say you wanna go. Oh, it's time for you to know about the motherland. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is T. Michael Rambo, and I'd like for you to kindly take your seats so that our program can begin. If you're conversing and engaging in conversation and can hear the sound of my voice, then you're hearing me make a gentle plea to take your seats so that we can begin our program and get this party started. You know, Books for Africa is now in its 35th year. Let's give a round of applause for 35 years of doing what they do so well. Now, that song by John Lucien, Motherland, is at the core of why we're here. Books for Africa, the motherland. I've had the great pleasure and the great gift and honor of having traveled to the continent 9 times. Egypt and Kenya and Tanzania and South Africa and Ghana and Senegal and Abidjan and across the continent. And through all those travels, I've become so taken by and absorbed by the beauty, the depth, the richness, and the wealth that comes from there. Now, while in South Africa, I traveled and had the great opportunity to teach. Also in Tanzania, where I taught in Arusha at Peace House. Yeah, the Tanzanians are giving a round of applause for Tanzania. That's great. Tanzania, yay! Well, I want to share a song that I wrote because of a very special experience I had. I had an experience with a group of children, and every day after teaching, I'd give them a piece of candy. Okay? And this one particular day, I only had one piece of candy, but 3 students waiting. So the one student who was there first, I gave the piece of candy. And that one student unwrapped it without saying a word and grabbed it and clenched it between his molars and cracked off a piece. And then handed it to the next student, who in turn did the same thing, and then handed it to the next one. The beauty the graciousness, the generosity of a child. And from that experience, I came to understand why Books for Africa is so important. Because the heart of a child is amazing, wondrous, and glorious. Tom, let's share this song with them. Are you ready, folks? All right now, y'all. In the smile of a child, all hatred will cease. In the face of a child, we will all find peace. In the eyes of a child, there is strength and there's a love. In the heart of a child is our answer from above. The answer to hunger, the answer to pain, the answer to make this world whole again. Our children are resilient, brilliant, and fearless. Beacons of light that will guide us through the night. Take the wrong and make it right. Take the wrong and make it right. Oh, in the smile of a child, all hatred will cease. In the face of a child, we will all find peace. In the eyes of a child, there is strength and there's love. In the heart of a child is our answer from above. The heart of a child is our answer from above. In the heart of a child is our answer from above. Oh, the answer. They hold the key. I'm talking about the babies all across this land. I'm talking about our children. Give them a hand. I say the eyes of a child, the smile of a child, the heart of a child is our answer. Answer from above. Yeah.
Well, I thank you. I want you all to know that you all look good. I mean, looking out there and seeing many of you in regional dress, some of you dressed for success and dressed in your best, y'all looking good. I was just telling my friend Sharon that from East Texas, where I'm from. My name is T. Michael Rambo, and I'm a Rambo from Rambo, Texas. That's right. Come on now, Woo. Shut up. You're so funny. And I told Sharon, I said, Sharon, you look great in your outfit. And she wanted me to take a picture. And I told her that in East Texas, we don't call outfits, we call them fit outs. Because you fitting to go out. So it's not an outfit, it's a fit out. So you all look great in your fit outs. Now, before we get this program going, there's some really important logistics that we need to engage in. I noticed that a number of you chose to sit in spaces that may not have had your table tent in front of you. What I want to make sure is that you look at your name tag and then make sure that the paddle that is seated near you is the corresponding number to the number on your name tag. So if you'd kindly just take a moment real quick, and if everybody would just bear with me and find the number that corresponds with the number on their tag. And then once you have that number, put your hand in the air like you just don't care and wave it around so we really see what you're doing. We want to make sure everybody has their right number, because when we start bidding, it's very likely and very possible that you might be using someone else's number, and that's no fun. You know, and stop hitting each other over there. Boys, stop it. All right. So now, if everyone has their name tag and their number, we can begin the program. So make sure that whoever's the person who's assigning your name tag number to the paddle that corresponds, make sure you do that and get that done correctly. All right. Now we've got that little detail down. So the next thing that we want to do is to explain the nature of our program.
We've got a dynamic program for you. Now check this out. Not only will you have a chance to hear from some phenomenal speakers and guests this evening, speakers from the South Sudan, speakers from Books for Africa. We heard some wonderful speakers earlier in the reception, the VIP reception. There was a woman there who, when I tell you, she expounded on the importance of books and reading. It was amazing. So now we have a children's choir, we have a wonderful auction and Fund a Need. And I want to tell you a little bit about this auctioneer. His name is Glenn Flatterbow. Now, I don't know about you, but Glenn has been a friend of Books for Africa for several years. But I'm delighted to say that he's a friend of mine who's got over 25 years of experience as an auctioneer, and he really understands the value, the importance, and the significance of supporting an organization with its mission and ensuring that that organization achieves its ultimate goal and its desired outcome for each event. So when Glenn comes up here later, I want you to really show your enthusiasm. Glenn, wherever you are, would you raise your hand for us so we can see you? Where are you, Glenn? Give him a round. Here he is over here. Give him a round of applause. That's Glenn Flatterbow, principal partner of Flatterbow Advancement. And he's going to advance the mission of Books for Africa a little later in our program. So that's going to be really dynamic. When I say dynamic, I would be remiss if I didn't say dynamic and connect it to this next man's name and his role for Books for Africa. His name is Mike Essien. Now, Mike is phenomenal is what he does for Books for Africa. He's the board of the president. He's the president of the board of directors. He's the board for the president. He's the president for the board of directors. And he is an intellectual property business attorney and principal at Essien Law Offices. Now, in his free time, he volunteers and serves as a board member for Books for Africa. Mike considers himself both a donor and a beneficiary when it comes to Books for Africa. He has sent many books back to Nigeria, which is his hometown. Everyone who's engaged in conversation, let's turn our attention to the podium as we bring up to the stage Mr. Mike Essien. Let's give him a big round of applause. Mike. Keep him going, he's still walking. Come on now, give him some more love. There you go. It's a long walk. Welcome.
A round of applause for T. Michael Rambo. Welcome. Welcome to the 35th anniversary of Books for Africa. What a party. Please clap your hands for yourself for being here. As we do in most of African countries, as we do everywhere we go, we need to acknowledge the presence of some dignitaries in our midst. We have today, we've been fortunate enough to have in our presence several representatives of African countries. His Excellency Philip Natana is the ambassador to South Sudan's ambassador to the United States. We have Her Excellency Elsie Kanza, the ambassador of the United Republic of Tanzania. We are blessed with the presence of former Ambassador Howard Jida from the Sir Emeka Afo Foundation, who is also a member of Books for Africa, and a lot of other dignitaries. When you leave what you had to do this evening and come to an event like this to come and say, congratulations to Book for Africa, and to come and support us, we thank you and welcome. When folks look at, you just turn around and look at people around you, you can see the beauty in all of us, you know. I mean, the colors, as T. Michael Rambo said, the colors of the people, the dressing, the attire, just the humanity that we bring in one day to one location. Books for Africa is this organization that has shown us that it really doesn't matter where you come from. It matters that you share our mission of getting books to the children of Africa so that we can end the dearth, the book famine in Africa. We can encourage our children to learn. We can give books to children so that children can become the future leaders of tomorrow. Because when a child has a book in his or her hand, flips it over, imagination runs wild. They can belong, they can become, they can get to anywhere they want to be. So thank you for what you do for Books for Africa. Tonight we come to celebrate, we come to have a party. But this party is necessary because sometimes you have to pat yourself a little bit on the back and say, 35 years is no joke. So we've done this business for 35 years, as you will hear. We have put 59 million books in the hands of children in Africa in these 35 years, and we've served books, we've donated, or we've provided donated books to all 55 countries in Africa. This organization is about to do some big things, so thank you for being part of this. As a child of a teacher, as a teacher myself, as someone who sees the light when a child picks or understands what you say, when we talk about education, literacy, and literary powers that we give to children, this combination of what you do, the money you give to us, the volunteering that you do, the books that you come and help us pack so that they can get to every country in Africa, we just like what we do, and we are proud that you have come to share it with us. So please plan to enjoy yourself tonight, have a good time, and share with us your stories. A gathering like this, that all of you come together, can only add power to what we do. So I cannot say it enough. We are appreciative of your presence. We like the fact that you're willing to share your time with us, and we also enjoy your company. So share with us, tell us your stories, tell us how we can become better, and tell us that little niche that you have that no other person heard before. And when you do that, you're going to make us a little bit richer, a little bit better, a little bit more productive, and we, as our founder says, look at what tomorrow can bring. So I'd like to welcome you, and please thank you for coming. And by this time, I'd like to welcome the Minnesota Swahili Church Youth Choir.
Ubarikiwe milele, fadhili zako ni za milele. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Ubarikiwe milele, fadhili zako ni za milele. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Ubarikiwe milele, fadhili zako ni za milele. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Ubarikiwe Fadhili zako ni za milele. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Barikiwe milele. Fadhili zako ni za milele. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wanishangaza matendo yako ya ajabu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wanishangaza matendo yako ya ajabu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wewe ni Mungu. Wewe ni Mungu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wewe ni Mungu. Wewe ni Mungu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wewe ni Mungu. Wewe ni Mungu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Zunguka, 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 zunguka. Wanishangaza matendo yako ya ajabu. Utukuzwe, umetenda mema Baba. Wanishangaza matendo yako ya ajabu.
That was fabulous, right? Another round of applause for these amazing kids. They were terrific. First of all, Doris and I would like to let you know that our dresses are now the official dresses of the co-sponsors of this, the co-chairs of this event. So in 4 years' time, whoever are the co-chairs, and they happen to be women, they get to wear these dresses. Nordstrom's. And Tammy, you know I probably have 24 dresses from France in my closet, the one dress from the US, and we're wearing the same dress. I mean, seriously, go figure that. Okay. First of all, I would like to also extend our warm gratitude for all of you who are here tonight. Your presence makes such a huge difference for Books for Africa. The significance of this event is the impact that it has on education. Fighting book famine is just a phrase, but the impact that it has is unreal. I had the pleasure of teaching in Rwanda at a high school just outside of Kigali called Saint-Dominique. 2,000 children in that school, and when I was teaching there, they had 32 books. 32 books. Books for Africa, through the Eric Harms Library, sent 8,000 books to that school. And that happened the August before COVID. During COVID, I received tearful calls from all of these teachers saying that our children would not have learned anything during that time if they would not have had those books, because all of their lessons were written on the board and it was rote memorization. So that gift supplied all of those children with the gift of knowledge during COVID. And a book for every child means more than any of us can imagine. Tom Worth always tells the story of seeing children hold books by the binder. They didn't even know how to open them. To give a book to a child who has never had a book is the ultimate gift. It helps them learn. It helps them develop. Their personal growth grows by leaps and bounds. They shape the future of Africa by nurturing their education, and they become informed citizens. And informed citizens are key and critical to the survival not only of this planet, but of democracy around the world. We also have to thank everyone who volunteered on this committee. Doris and I both agreed that doing a gala with Books for Africa is the easiest thing to do, because everyone who was on this committee was totally dedicated to this evening, and I'd like to give them a round of applause. And I'd like to conclude by once again my heartfelt thanks for what you're doing for the children of Africa.
It's my pleasure to be able to introduce to you tonight the Books for Africa Executive Director. I met Pat for the first time 20 years ago when Tom Worth, Lane Ayers, and I interviewed him for the job. And Books for Africa was at a good place at that time, but we knew that we needed to grow and grow and grow some more. Pat was getting his PhD at the time, and we said, "Can you do this job?" Luckily, we made the decision to hire Pat. And now, 20 years later, incredible growth has happened. just like we had hoped for. Pat has used his great skills to build relationships in Washington, D.C. and across Africa, which has enabled our goals of putting a book in the hands of each child in Africa on the way to becoming true. So right now, I'm very pleased to introduce Pat Polanski, who made all of our successes happen and brought us to this night of great celebration. Pat.
Thank you, Doris, for that kind introduction. Too kind, some would say. But it has been my honor to serve Books for Africa for over 20 years, and my honor to welcome you here. So welcome, welcome, welcome to our 35th Anniversary Gala. There are over 350 of you here in this room tonight, and you all look great from here. I would like to begin by thanking you all, and especially by thanking all of our sponsors who've made this exciting event possible. So first, I'd like to recognize our presenting sponsor for this gala event, Thomson Reuters. Thank you to Thomson Reuters. Thomson Reuters has been a great friend of Books for Africa, and they are the leader of our Law and Democracy initiative, sending law libraries across the African continent, over 25 countries. So we appreciate their support, and thank you, Thomson Reuters. Next, I'd like to recognize our container sponsors. Each container sponsor paid for the funding of the shipment to Africa of a full container, each container holding 22,000 books. And our container sponsors sponsoring this gala this evening are Dan and Linda Moline, the Stillman Family Foundation, and Frank Babka. Join me in thanking these sponsors. All great friends of Books for Africa. Next, I'd like to recognize our summit sponsors, the Sir Emeka Afor Foundation, coming to us all the way from Nigeria, the Lerner Foundation, Barefoot Books, Bremer Bank, Dodge & Cox, based out of San Francisco. And join me in thanking these sponsors. These are our summit sponsors. Next, thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize our table sponsors. And, well, there's just frankly too many of you here in this room, so I can't name you all. So all table sponsors, I'd ask you to stand and be recognized. Those who are sponsoring tables, thank you so much for helping to fill this room. We appreciate your support. And I'd also like to thank all of our live and silent auction sponsors who've donated items for purchase that you'll see with our live auction later tonight. If you haven't seen, there is a silent auction going on in the next room. I think you might be able to still bid on some of those items as long as you don't outbid me on that wine tasting opportunity. Others you can bid on next door. And so thank you to our silent auction sponsors, and thank you to our media sponsor, Mashale, which is the African community newspaper here in town. So thank you to all of those sponsors. And finally, last but not least, I'd like to thank all of you who've purchased tickets and attended this gala. We literally could not have filled this room without you, and we have filled this room. So thank you to everyone who purchased a ticket, and join me in thanking all of our sponsors here tonight one more time. We have a thing in Africa, we say all protocols observed, so if I left anyone out, my apologies in advance. Now, I could talk to you a lot about what Books for Africa has accomplished over the past 35 years. I could talk about the 59 million books we've sent, plus an additional 6 million digital books, and the fact that we've shipped books to every single one of the 55 countries on the African continent. I could tell you about that, I could tell you about how we are rated in the top 3% of all charities in the U.S. by Charity Navigator. I could talk about our Law and Democracy Initiative, shipping law books all over Africa, or our Merck Medical Initiative, shipping medical books to every corner of the African continent. I could talk about all the books that we've printed in local languages under our Books for Africa Publishing Initiative, or that we've shipped books to Africa out of Atlanta, Paris, London, Montreal, New York, San Francisco, Houston, and Annapolis, and that's just in the past year. So I could tell you about all that, but I'm not going to do that, because what's really important and what really matters is not these numbers and achievements, as impressive as they are. What is really important is the profound impact that a single book, one book, can have on a child's life, providing a gateway to knowledge, imagination, and empowerment. This gala's slogan, and indeed the goal of Books for Africa, is a book for every child. This simple yet transformative goal underscores the heart of our work here at Books for Africa. The fact that everyone counts, every child in the world counts, every child in Africa counts, and is worthy of our support in educational opportunity. Our efforts have been collaborative with partners across Africa from the very beginning, distributing these books. Volunteers, 10,000 in Atlanta last year alone. 10,000 volunteers just in 1 year. Donors of funds, donors of books, supporters allowing our organization to reach the most remote corners of Africa. We sent over 4 million books just in 1 year to 25 African countries, just last year alone. And so, you know, this is what's important. And our supporters are allowing our organization to reach the most remote corners of Africa. And you'll hear more about this soon from His Excellency Ambassador Natana of the Republic of South Sudan. So let me conclude here by painting a picture of the future where every child in Africa has access to a world of knowledge and imagination by having access to a book that interests them, That might be an algebra book, or a novel, or a book about archaeology, the kind I used to read as a grade school kid and had to hunt down in a library across town far from my tiny school library. So I thank you once again for your support to Books for Africa and all that you've done over the past 35 years. We could not have done it without you. We could not have sent 59 million books and served every one of the 55 African countries on the continent without you. Thank you, and know that your help is still very much needed and is appreciated. Thank you, and enjoy your evening.
Why, thank you, Pat, and I can see now from your enthusiasm and for the things you just weren't going to tell us, how much you really appreciate your position with Books for Africa and the wonderful things that you shared with us, how important they very much are. You know, I think about the people who are up here already, Mike, Essien, the choir. Let's hear it again for those young people in that choir, the Swahili Church Choir. I don't know about you, but I've learned some moves. Stop it, you guys. Yeah, they were amazing. And then Pat shared those wonderful pieces of what makes Books for Africa so important. Now we're going to move on with our program because we really want to bring up someone who's going to introduce our guest speaker, our keynote. She's a person that is actually, well, she wears a lot of different hats. Not only because she's a beautiful person, but she's a beautiful person. There you go, twice over. Sharon is my dear friend, and we have been known each other for well over 20 some odd years. Sharon Sales Belton. Now Sharon is was the former government affairs and community relations at Thomson Reuters. Sharon has been the government partnership and alliance lead for Thomson Reuters. In her career at Thomson Reuters, she has championed the Law and Democracy Initiative and has helped ship over 124 custom law libraries to Africa. That's just the icing on the cake. There's not even more to tell. There's so much more to tell about what Sharon has done. But she's going to come up and introduce our keynote. Let's give a round of applause for Sharon Sales Belton, board member to Books on Africa and our friend.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here tonight at the 35th anniversary for Books for Africa. Let's hear another shout out for them. You know, one of the things that I love about Books for Africa is that they understand three things that are really top of my list. Number one, that education is really the great equalizer in the world. Number two, books are at the foundation of a strong educational system. And three, and this is the big one, every child must have a book. And that gift of a book is truly a gift of hope. And that's what tonight is really all about, is bringing hope to the children all across the continent of Africa. And you all can be a part of it. Many of you have already been a part of it for a number of years, and we are grateful for that. We've heard throughout this evening in the reception, here in this room, that to date, Books for Africa has shipped over 59 million. Did you hear me? 59 million books to countries across the continent since 1988. Now, you know, when I was first writing my remarks for this event, I saw the number and it said 58 million. And then I did some more scouring, and I really found out that Pat and his group have really rolled up their sleeves or whatever, and they found another 1 million books to ship. That's just incredible work, and I'll tell you what, the job is not done yet. There's more that we need to do, and that's why we're here tonight. Now, as T. Michael said, I've had the privilege of managing the Books for Africa relationship on behalf of Thomson Reuters for the past 13 years. And I am so proud that Thomson Reuters is tonight's premier sponsor. Thank you so much, Thomson Reuters, for your commitment to this organization. Now, one of the highlights of my involvement with Books for Africa has actually been the formalizing of Thomson Reuters' commitment to the Jack Mason Law and Democracy Initiative. Many of you who are from Minnesota know how important Jack Mason was to our legal profession here in our state. And I'm so glad that Jack's name is associated with this wonderful initiative. Through that project, as you heard T. Michael say, Thomson Reuters has donated over 124 law libraries, complete law libraries, to law schools, to human rights organizations, bar associations, and even government agencies across the continent. We have served 25 different countries, and there's more to come. Thank you. Now, this project is really dedicated to ensuring that all people have access to justice, because access to justice is a cornerstone of our commitment at Thomson Reuters. These law libraries not only serve the legal professionals, but the resources are also available to the general public. And it is with great pride that I look back on that day that we all came together in 2010, where we had Kofi Annan, we had Vice President Walter Mondale, we had Michael Davis, who was then the Chief Judge of the Minnesota U.S. District Court, and a ton of executives from Thomson Reuters, and we were all signatories to that agreement to deliver those law libraries to the continent of Africa. And I want you to know that that relationship is still growing strong today. Thank you, Thomson Reuters. Thank you. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't just throw a little shout out to Lane Ayers. Lane, I see you sitting over there. Lane is the director of this very special project, and I want to thank Lane, and I want to also thank members of the legal community here in Minnesota and across the country for their support of this extraordinary initiative. We all know and understand that the rule of law is the foundation for peace and prosperity at home and around the world. Thank you so much, Lane. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Now, before I introduce our special keynote, I also just want to acknowledge my colleagues at Thomson Reuters, because as you heard from T. Michael, I'm transitioning away from Thomson Reuters, so that means I'm retiring. And so that's a good thing. But I also want to just acknowledge that my colleagues at Thomson Reuters have really dedicated countless hours to this partnership with Books for Africa. Tom Pfeiffer, John Elstead, Yvonne Lewis McDonald, who is actually already over in Rochester, New York. These people have rolled up their sleeves and worked hard to make this relationship work. Tom Layton, who's with us tonight. Adam, who's here from our Global Volunteer Network. Charles, who's here from our Black Employee Network. These individuals have worked hard to make sure that our employee book drive is successful, that we raise money to support the work for Books for Africa, that we show up and pack books in the warehouse. You guys have been phenomenal. And I will just tell you, what I'm really excited about is the vice chair of the Board of Directors for Books for Africa is my colleague, Tammy Follett. And Tammy is going to be the next chair of this organization. Thank you so much, Tammy, and the Thomson Reuters team for your work. So now let me get on to what I'm really here for, and that is to introduce to you our keynote speaker. And I will tell you that it is an honor and a privilege to be able to do this. Normally I get a chance to do it at the luncheon, but because this is a special anniversary year, I get to do this, at this wonderful dinner. And it has been my pleasure to get to know His Excellency Philip Jata Natata. His Excellency has served as the Ambassador of the Republic of South Sudan to the United States since September 2018. He is a career diplomat with over a decade of public service. Ambassador Natata served as the ambassador to South Africa from 2014 to 2018. He was the ambassador to Urea from 2012 to 2014. He has held a number of diplomatic and public service positions in Eritrea, and Juba, and Khartoum. He is an extraordinary public servant, and we are delighted to have him with us this evening. Ambassador Natata holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in journalism and mass communications and a minor in political science from the University of Asmara, and has achieved many successes in diplomatic courses through a couple of universities across the continent, and most recently, the University of South Africa. Now, Ambassador Natata works closely with government and the people of the United States to strengthen bilateral cooperation, to encourage investment in major development projects in the South Sudan, focusing on securing funding for socioeconomic development projects, supporting small business initiatives, and also promoting tourism. So we had a wonderful conversation tonight about opportunities for tourism in the future for South Sudan, and I'm very excited to learn more. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Ambassador Philip Jata Natata to the podium. Please, Ambassador.
Good evening. Sometimes I think maybe on a joking note, not a very serious note, sometimes you wish that you are there present during your funeral. And that's the time that people say good things about you. But today I've been pleasantly surprised that in introducing me, I already begin to see how my funeral has been with the nice things that people have said about me tonight. But I really want to say thank you, to the organizers of this event, and allow me on the onset to start my remarks here tonight by thanking the sponsors of this event, starting with those who have contributed with containers of books to the continent, to those who have booked tables here. And you can really thank yourself, because I don't know how many tables are here, but I can say that there are many. And for you to sponsor that, we really owe you. I also want to thank those who have contributed in kind. And I want to thank you all for your generosity and the way that I've been welcomed here. It's my first time that when I arrive for an event, I've been picked up by a president. So thank you, Michael Eisen, the president of the board of directors. And I think that will go down in my history as something that is really big for me. But again, I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for the generosity, for the nice food that we have had. And exceptional generosity again goes to when I was walking in and I stood there, I wanted to buy for myself a drink. And John stepped forward and said, "Can I buy for you a drink?" So thanks, John Bennett, for giving me a glass of wine. And that testifies of how generous Americans generally are, but Minnesotans are in particular. I want to proceed again by thanking Books for Africa. And I want to start by the founder, Thomas Worth, whom I met a few months ago, great and wonderful person. I want to thank Patrick, and it has already been said here, Patrick has this amazing nature of really connecting with people. And he recruited me from the first day, and I can say maybe I'm one of the latest recruits. I don't know whether somebody comes behind me for Books of Africa. And thanks for that. Michael is saying, my Ghanaian friend who defected to Nigeria, I was joking with him the other time, because for us in Africa, we know soccer and we know Hissène. When you talk about Hissène, you talk about one of the best footballers that we have on the continent, and we know him to be a Ghanaian. So when he introduced himself and said, "I'm called Mike Hissène," I said, "Are you from Ghana?" And he said, "No, I'm from Nigeria." I said, "How did you get the Ghanaian name?" He said, "Actually, it's my name, so that's up for debate." So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to meet with you and know you. Before I proceed further, I would also want to recognize the presence of some of my colleagues here, and I recognize Her Excellency. I recognize Her Excellency Ambassador Elsie Kanza of the Republic of Tanzania. I think she's here with us. She gave a very beautiful speech earlier on today, and thank you for your kind remarks, and I'm sure many people enjoyed listening to you. I want to also go ahead and thank and recognize the presence of others here. My other colleagues are not here, but I wanted to recognize some of the participants here, Baraka Frederick Mbuyo, Richard Rikwenyu Kiza, and Catherine Jeran Mena of Tanzania National Park. I think you did a great job to make this. So let's give a round of applause to all of them. I am deeply humbled and greatly honored to stand before you here tonight to speak on this occasion of the 35th anniversary of Books for Africa. Coming from a country that had a long history of liberation, we have a total period of 38 years of struggle. I can tell you, to get to 35 years is no easy deal. So today, Books for Africa, you can only pat yourself on your shoulders and say, we have come this long way. we are going to be there forever. So for everyone here today, let us join to say congratulations for 35 years of existence, a milestone, and we can do that with a round of applause. Today, we are coming here together to support a great cause, something that made it possible for all of us to be here. So if there is one reason, or if there is one factor that made us to be all here today, it is because, to some extent, we have been educated. And there would have not been any education if you have not gotten any access to books. So literally, we're here today because of one thing: books. And I'm sure that all of you agree. And the importance of books actually made life very easy for me tonight, because I don't have to speak through my head. Because I've read books and I know how to read, I put this in writing and I only read it. So if I didn't have access to books, I wouldn't probably be able to deliver my remarks tonight. So congratulations to Book for Africa, making life easy for the future kids of Africa, but making it life easy for some of us who are here in the room. So again, I want to say congratulations. Coming from different backgrounds, race, gender, nationality, and ethnicity, we are all here today because of the power of books. That is what made us possible to even understand each other in the communication of the language which we have here tonight as a medium of communication, that's English. Therefore, may we seize this opportunity to collectively acknowledge the importance and value of books and make a solemn pledge to support the cause of making books available under the leadership of Books for Africa. So this celebration today should not only be a celebration of 35 years of experience, but it should also be an opportunity for us to fundraise and be able to provide more books, especially for the continent of Africa. Today, therefore, is no doubt a special day for us, as it provides for us the opportunity to pay tribute and thank Books for Africa, and thank them for the commitment in improving education and literature in my continent, Africa, by helping to provide the books. The itch for books in Africa has been persistent for a very long time, and it still continues. And we need as many fingers as possible to be able to scratch that itch. And today, I see more than 1,000 fingers here, and I'm sure that they will contribute to scratch that itch and fulfill that we need as a continent. Today, South Sudan, under its constitution, guarantees free primary education and secondary education. This, for me, is an opportunity for millions of children to get access to education. Books for Africa can work with the government of South Sudan to make education accessible, as they provide books, which is a key aspect in education. Today, we are here not only to thank Books for Africa for their generosity and support towards South Sudan, but to ask and appeal that we get more books. So far, Books for Africa has sent over 180,000 books to South Sudan. We are also looking forward to receiving in 2024 another 100,000 books. Today, earlier, I was in an interview, and in the interview I was with the executive director, Patrick Polonsky, and he mentioned that we have 5 containers that are already going to South Sudan. That's about 120,000 books. And thanks to this partnership with the Books for Africa and the U.S. Department of Defense and the Rotary International, most of our libraries are going to be filled with books for the first time in the history of our country. South Sudan is the newest country in the continent, and it was born after a long struggle. As a marginalized part of the then Sudan, Southern Sudan lacked basic education and service and was kept backward, with most of its citizens kept away from accessing education. And this was not an accident, but a deliberate policy of marginalization to make sure that education remains a privilege, not a right, until the late 90s. But even then, we had a terrible time in South Sudan because we had a regime that came in Sudan, because we were part of Sudan then, that overnight in 1990 decided to declare Arabic language as a medium of instruction and Islam as the main religion. So over one night, every kid, starting from grade 1, has to start learning in Arabic, and deliberately they touched the books or banned the books that were existing in South Sudan, and mainly the books that are in Arabic. So we remain actually largely in South Sudan in 1990 without any books. So today, if books in Africa is sending books, we have to acknowledge here that they are sending books to a country that nearly had no books, especially in English. So we want to thank you for that, and we want to say we really owe it to you for coming in to fill that big gap. When efforts are being made to expand access to education in South Sudan, it was aimed from other cultures to spread Arabic and religion. Arabic as a language and culture, but also Islam as a religion. Of course, as a country, we believe that that should be left as a choice for people. But banning books because you want to prevent somebody supposedly from learning another culture and language is a crime. And we feel that today with UNESCO and many partners who are supporting education in South Sudan, we have to step forward and correct that injustice that has been made. And we can only say how lucky we are that books in Africa is filling a vacuum that has been created by the government in Sudan then deliberately to starve the population of South Sudan of education and books. I was one of the few privileged South Sudanese who had access to secondary education, that's high school, in the 1990s. As a person who picked interest in literature at an early age, the pages of books that I laid my hands on took me on a journey and discovery and set of self-identity to different parts of the continent. In the pages of Chino Achebe's Things Fall Apart, I discovered Okonkwo in Umuofia in Nigeria without going there. I learned that there can only be a few through Okonkwo who can stand up and defend Mother Africa. Peter Abrahams, through Mind Boy, took me to South Africa, where I saw without going there how the struggle for freedom was told through the story of Jones and the Komalos. These, my brothers and sisters, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, is how books can influence and shape our lives. And I'm sure, if anything, I'm here present today and standing here to address this very important and noble gathering because I had access to books. I have not even mentioned the life of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and Ujamaa, or the planting of the mustard seeds by Kaguta Museveni. Books, my friends, are our eyes to distant lands that we may not even get to see. Unfortunately, due to the long period of civil war and the second wars that started in 2013 in Juba, After an attempted coup, a lot of destruction took place. Many lives were lost, but schools were also destroyed. More than 800 schools were destroyed between December 2013 and August 2015 in my country. With that, whatever few books were then went up in flames. Today, South Sudan education sector is recovering from this devastating war, but resources are limited as education sector has to compete with other sectors to create access to the resources that are available in the country. Access to books, in particular, and education in general, presents an opportunity for our Ministry of Education to collaborate with partners helping in the education sector. Currently, the government is in partnership with NGOs and UN agencies like UNICEF and UNESCO that I've mentioned earlier, who support the Ministry of Education in areas like teachers training and provision of schools materials. Again, lack of books remain a challenge. It is my hope that the government of South Sudan will collaborate and partner with Books for Africa in order to gain access to this book and fill in the gap. South Sudan started its first war in 1955 and ended in 1972 with the Addis Ababa Agreement. That war lasted for 17 years. There was a second period there was a peace for 10 years that lasted until 1983, and again we had that war. With the war that happened again in 2030, we had 40 years of conflict. And so you can imagine what that caused in terms of human misery, but what it caused to the least thing that you would run away with, that is books. So today, I can say that we need books much more than anything else. So for 4 whole decades, the bulk of the young population therefore missed an opportunity of going to school. Now that the conflict has ended, this young population lack any skills, and therefore the tendency to be attracted to violence is great. As part of the DDR program, literacy campaigns needed to be carried out, and that is what the government is doing now, so that we can get back to this young population, we can get back them to school. This will require, again, more books. In order for South Sudan to address these challenges of books and materials, it will partner with international partners. Books for Africa is one such partner. It can make a lot of difference if it provides books, as it has already started in doing so in South Sudan, helping the standard of education to come to raise higher. Therefore, on behalf of the government of South Sudan and the South Sudanese, who will be the direct beneficiaries of these donations of books, I want to express my sincere thanks and gratitude, and I pledge our support to collaborate with Books for Africa. As I mentioned earlier, the people of South Sudan have been marginalized for too long, and we have been lagging behind in many fields, including education. It is only through education that we can be able to address the challenges of poverty, lack of health services, gender inequality. Due to the limited resources that were as part of the marginalization, one of our biggest sector of the population, that are girls, were not given the opportunity to go to school. The few that got the opportunity either dropped off before high school or were married off as soon as they finished high school. And this has continued to cost for us a high price in terms of development. We need to come together, therefore, so that we will be able to make that girl in South Sudan to go to school, and we can only do that, again, by providing books. South Sudan has a large diaspora community in the United States and in the Midwest. I will appeal to them to collaborate with Books for Africa to donate, volunteer, and spread awareness for books in Africa. I was pleasantly surprised earlier today that there are 2 South Sudanese ladies who volunteered here tonight for this event. So I can say that, and congratulations for that. And I can say that I earned my invitation to be here tonight and give a speech. No contribution is small. We did a contribution, and I will refer you to how we did a contribution as an alumni of our school, there are only about 8 of us. We managed to buy over 200 books, and that went to my school, and I can assure you that that created a lot of difference. So I want to say today that being here today, and I said there are more than 1,000 fingers that are here to scratch that itch. If you only give one book, you cannot believe how many will be able to read that one book. As was my story with Things Fall Apart, there are millions in South Sudan who have read that book. The benefit that books will provide to South Sudan will be great. We have a small population of only about 12 million people. We have 10 states. I want to imagine a South Sudan where each of these states will have at least 10 public libraries. When I went to school in Juba, we only had one library, but so many of us benefited from that. That means access to books. That means also schools will have access to some of the books, and that means more doors of knowledge will be open. I mentioned earlier that South Sudan became an independent country after a long and brutal struggle. Due to our struggle, no one except South Sudanese believe we will become an independent country. Because talking in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s about splitting and getting more countries out of the continent when everybody wanted the borders, colonial borders, to be preserved was almost unheard of. But we are a resilient people, and we are also capable, and we are also a people who are full of optimism. It is this optimism that made it possible for me to be here with you today and extend a hand of collaboration to Books of Africa, and together we will win the battle against illiteracy in the same way we did win the battle for our independence 12 years ago. So I want to end my remarks by saying, thank you, Books for Africa. We will be your friends, and together we will hold hands and change this continent. God bless Books for Africa. Thank you very much.
Let's give another round of applause to the ambassador. You know, just listening to him tell his story about the South Sudan, I was just reflecting in my own head why I care so passionately about Books for Africa. And I want to start by just talking about the fact that even in our own community, Ambassador, we have children who've never owned a book. And that's kind of unbelievable that that would be happening in our own city of Minneapolis and St. Paul, that they have books, but they don't own a book. And when I first learned about the mission of Books for Africa from Tom Worth, and he told me about children just having maybe one book and 6 children having to share one book, it just broke my heart. It just broke my heart. And when he told me that there was something that I could do about it, I was the first one to raise my hand. I want to do something about that. I've got books in my house that my children haven't read in a long time. I need to pack that book up, put it in a box, and get it over to Books for Africa and let them ship it to some other part of the world where a child doesn't even have a book. Never had a dream of a book. And then when I learned that I could do even more, that I could write a check, and I could participate in maybe helping to underwrite a container that was going to ship a whole bunch of books from a whole bunch of people to, a lot of schools across the continent, it warmed my heart. And I wrote that check. I wrote that check in that first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, and I'm now into 13 years of writing checks for Books for Africa, okay? And when I hear you tell stories about how it's making a difference in the lives of children in your country and how you dream about how much more it could do if we can get through some of the mire, I really want to help. And I think a lot of people in this room want to help. We have had ambassadors talk to us in the past about how Books for Africa has made a difference for the children in their communities. How young girls have for the first time been able to get an education. The power of that can change communities, it can change countries, it can change the world. We can be a part of changing the world tonight, folks. And we need to do that. We can do that. It is within our power and our resource to be able to do that. And this is the part of the program where we're going to transition to how do we make the dream, how do we make the mission for Books for Africa come to life? And I can't think of a better person to help us do that than a guy who's actually my neighbor. Now, normally I want to put my finger up like this when he walks into the room, right? Because this guy knows how to get in my pocket. But what I want him to do tonight is I want him to get into my pocket. I want him to get into all of our pockets and help us do what we need to do so that Books for Africa can achieve their mission. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you my friend, Glenn Vanderbilt. Glenn Vanderbilt, take it away.
Sharon, thank you for your leadership. Can we give a great Minnesota woman a huge round of applause for all that she has done for her service on the board? Sharon, I love your passion. My friends, Sharon is right. We have the chance right now to change the world. For 35 years, this community has come together to fund this organization and look at the results. Nearly 60 million books have been delivered. Hundreds of millions of people have been impacted because of this work. And tonight, as we celebrate our 30th anniversary, our goal tonight is to deliver hundreds of thousands of books in the coming year. The last thing that I'd like to say before I ask for your help is this. It's what Pat said in his remarks. Think of the one child 6 months from now that will receive a book because of what we've done. The one child. It's their first book in their life. My friends, we can make a difference. As Sharon said, we can change the world in this moment. Everyone has bidding numbers. If you could just grab your bidding number to start and listen to the announcement that I'm about to make. For years, the cost of one container was $11,000 that provides 22,000 books. And a gift of $30,000 would send 3 containers to Africa. But because we've developed a relationship with the Department of Defense, a gift of $30,000 actually is leveraged now because of the support from the Department of Defense, and so it'll deliver 5 containers to Africa. When we were planning tonight's event, we reached out for initial support. We have a gentleman in the room who served as the United States ambassador to Nigeria. He spoke during our VIP reception, and Howard Jeter's organization, has agreed tonight by giving the first gift of $30,000. Howard, thank you. I'm going to hand you the microphone and have you shared it with everyone why you've decided to do this and why he's giving the gift of $30,000.
Because it's the right thing to do. And we're delighted to do it, and we're delighted to be in partnership with Books for Africa. Thank you.
Let's give Howard a round of applause. We're at $30,000, so we have one gift of $30,000. Let's do this together right now. Is there anyone else tonight willing to also pledge $30,000 that will send 5 containers to Africa? Anyone else at the $30,000 level? At the $30,000, yes. Here's our second one at $30,000. Let's give them a round of applause. Number 129. Number 129 at $30,000. That is 2 at $30,000. Anyone else at the $30,000 level? At the $30,000 level. Anyone else at $30,000? We're going to the second level. How about $15,000? How many families tonight would consider pledging $15,000? Anyone at the 15? Here's our first one, number 214 at $15,000. Let's give them a round of applause. That's 214 at $15,000. $15,000. We've raised $75,000 so far. Anyone else at the $15,000 level? At $15,000. Anyone else at, yes. Here's our second one, number 233 at $15,000. Let's give them a round of applause. Number 233 at $15,000. Anyone else at the $15,000 level? At $15,000. A gift tonight of $11,000 will send one container Africa. How many people tonight would consider sending an entire container and gifting $11,000? Anyone at the $11,000 level? Here's our first one, number 150 at $11,000. Mark Ritchie. Sierra Leone, they're sending one to Sierra Leone. Can we give Mark Ritchie a round of applause? Number 359, that is 2 at 11,000. We have 2 at 11,000. Anyone else at the $11,000 level? At the $11,000 level. Anyone else at 11,000? How about $5,500, which will fund half a container? Anybody tonight willing to pledge $5,500? Anyone at, yes, number 134 at $5,500. Let's give them a hand. Here's the second one, number 133 at $5,500. Number 133 at $5,500. Anyone else at the $5,500 level? At $5,500. Yes, we've got a third one back here, number 394 at $5,500. Let's give them a hand. Number 394 at $5,500. Anyone else at the $5,500 level? Here's another one, number 221 at $5,500. Number 221 at $5,500. Number 221 at $5,500. Anyone else at the $5,500 level? Before we move on, can we put our hands together? Yes, here's another one, number 181 at $5,500. Number 181 at $5,500. Number 181 at $5,500. Anyone else at the $5,500 level? Can we put our hands together for all of the families that have pledged at $5,500 and higher? We are doing great. Absolutely remarkable. We are going to the next level. How about $2,500? How many people tonight would be willing to pledge $2,500? Anyone? Yes, number 156 at $2,500. Number 246 at $2,500. Number 246 at $2,500. Number 175 at $2,500. Number 175 at $2,500. Anyone else at the $2,500 level? Here's another one, number 172 at $2,500. Number 172 at $2,500. Number 172. Anyone else at the $2,500 level? How about $1,000? How many people tonight would be, yes, number 207 at $1,000. Number 213 at $1,000. Number 198 at $1,000. 318 at $1,000. 209 at $1,000. Number 128 at $1,000. Number 240 at $1,000. Number 162. Pat, thank you. 162 at $1,000. 278 at $1,000. Sam and Sylvia, thank you. They just pledged $1,000. Here's another one, number 202 at $1,000. Number 202 at $1,000. Number 202 at $1,000. Number 409 at $1,000. You guys, thank you. Number 409 at $1,000. Anyone else at the $1,000 level? At the $1,000 level, can we put our hands together and give our $1,000 donors a round of applause? Thank you to all of our $1,000 donors. We are going to the next level. How about $500? How many people tonight would be willing? Yes, number 141, Sharon, thank you. Number 141 at $500. Number 145 at $500. Number 325 at $500. Number 147 at $500. 314 at $500. Number 321 at $500. 212 at $500. Number 304 at $500. 288 at $500. 292 at $500. Number 419 at $500. Number 160. Number 165 at $500. 273 at $500, 279 at $500, number 334 at $500, number 237 at $500, number 237 at $500. Anyone else at the $500 level? At the $500 level, yes, number 114 at $500, number 114, number 110 at $500, number 196 at $500, number 196 at $500. Anyone else at the $500 level? Let's put our hands together and give our $500 donors a hand. Thank you to all of our $500 contributors. We are doing great, everybody. We're going to the next level. How about $250? How many people tonight Tammy, God bless you. Number 140 at $250. Number 359 at $250. 332 at $250. Number 329. Number 312. Number 135 at $250. 286 at $250. Number 315 at $250. Number 345. Number 154. Number 176 at $250. Number 176 at $250. Number 116 at $250. Number 116 at $250. Anyone else at the $250 level? At the $250 level. Yes, number 235 at $250. Number 235 at $250. Anyone else at the $250 level? And as our final level, how about $100? How many people tonight would be willing to pledge $100? Anyone at the 100? Yes, here's our first one at $100. Number 168 at 100. 167 at 100. Number 177. Number 250 at 100. 151. 368 at 100. Number 184 at 100, 183 at 100, 158 at $100. By the way, $100 will send 200 books to Africa. Number 355 at $100, 358 at 100, 436, number 352, 368, 374, 371. Ma'am, thank you. Number 252, 317, 307 at 100, number 224, 221, number 119 at 100, 317 at 100, 326 at $100. Number 172 at $100. Number 172 at 100. Number 211 at $100. Number 211 at $100. Anyone else? Yes, number 444 at $100. And their number in the very back, if you could just flip it my way there. She's going to grab it. They're going to turn it for me. Thank you. 285 at $100. Number 285 at 100. 383 at $100. Number 383 at $100. Anyone else at the $100 level? Can we put our hands together for everyone donating tonight and for coming? Number 430 at $100. 430 at $100. Two quick words. T. Michael's going to come back up to the podium. And as he's coming to the podium, we're going to sell 5 items in the live auction. But I'd be making a huge mistake tonight if I didn't say, as a group, can we put our hands together for all of the staff of Books for Africa, for all that they have done for 35 years. Patrick, we are blessed to have 20 years of your leadership. Thank you to the staff. My friends, we are going to make a huge difference right now in the live auction. Remarkable job in the giving moment. T. Michael, it is fun to work with you in the live auction. We have 5 really good items.
5 amazing items. I wanted to say the enthusiasm of our spotters were off the chain. I'm telling you, they were screaming and shouting and pointing. My. Well, here we are with our first item, a wine pairing and dinner for 6 experience at Mr. Paul's Supper Club. Now, if you haven't heard, over in South Minneapolis, right before you get to Edina, it's this dynamic, amazing, awesome space. It is called Mr. Paul's Supper Club, a contemporary dining destination renowned for by its chef, Mr. Chef Tommy Bernot, and he is a unique culinary artist with a flair for encompassing not only steaks and seafood and pasta, but also things with a Cajun sense of flair. Enjoying dinner for 6 with wine pairing and a personal concierge to help you with your reservation. Let's take it away.
All right, everybody, it's item number 1 in the live auction. This is a big deal. It's been around, I think, 2 years. I believe that they're here tonight. Is that right? You guys, I hate to put you on the spot, but if you wouldn't mind standing up and just saying a couple words about Mr. Paul's, no pressure, but I'll make twice as much money if you do it. Can you say, Tommy, just a few words about it?
Yes. Now, I think we said 6 courses for 6 people. We're going to start it right now at 6 people, 10 courses.
What?
10 course
Did you
dinner.
say 10 courses?
10 courses.
Oh, I'm down for that.
I did one of these for the Children's Theater. I've done one for the Children's Museum. I did one for Winefest. Every one of these sold for over $6,000. Children's Theater went for $21,000. There's a shit ton of money in this place. I'm looking over there. I'm looking right here. I'm looking over here. Let's start this thing at about $4,500.
My friends, he is
incredibly
generous. Can we give Tommy a round of applause at Mr. Paul's Supper Club? 10 courses. Here's an amazing opportunity, well over a $5,000 value. Somebody give me $2,000 to start. Here we go. Thank you. I'm at $2,500 now, $3,000 down, $3,000 now, $3,500 down. Friends, here we go. The bid is there. He's the second auction he's been at in the last 6 days with me. $3,000. I have $3,000. I'm at $3,000 now, $3,500 down, $3,500. Friends, give me $4,000 and a $4,000 down, up $4,000. The bid is right here. I have $3,500 down, $4,000 down. Friends, $4,000. The bid is $3,500 down, $4,000 down. They're gonna do it $4,000. The bid is right here at 30. One more time. I'll take $3,750. $3,750. They have to keep bidding. Tommy's at their table. $3,500. She's at $4,000. Thank you. $4,000. Now $4,500 down. Friends, somebody give me $4,500. The bid is right here at $4,000. I have $4,000 right here. Now $4,500 down. Now $4,500 down. One more shot. $4,500. We have $4,000. The more you bid, the better the food is. Give me $4,500.
Right.
We have $4,000 right here. The bid is $4,000. I bid $4,000. Anyone else? It's certain final call. Last call. $4,000. And now $4,500 down. Now $4,500 down. We're going to sell it $4,000. Now $4,500. So I did. Ma'am, I sold it to you for $4,000. Congratulations. She bought it for $4,000. Number 232. Tommy, thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome job. That is $4,000. Right. Number 232. Here's item number 2 in the live auction.
Item number 2, a trip to Palm Springs, California. This trip is an oasis in the desert. Includes airfare. It includes airfare for 2, a 5-night stay at this 3-bedroom home with mountain views, a golf for 4, a private ride in a Cirrus airplane, and cocktail party. That's right, from people from the board of the Books for Africa. Come on, that's Cass Stillman. Let's hear for Cass. Let's hear for this opportunity. Thank you, Cass, and thank you, Palm Springs, California trip.
All right, everybody, item number 2 in the live auction. You're going to Palm Springs. Katie, I saw you earlier. Where's Katie at? She probably doesn't want the recognition, but it's her home in Palm Springs. Katie, can you just wave to everybody? It's her place in Palm Springs. It is a big deal. And her husband, I should have said her husband is as well. It's both of their homes in Palm Springs. You know what? You can negotiate when you do it. Again, the airfare is included. You're going in an airplane ride in a Cirrus, which is good, by the way, for a takeoff and a landing. They're guaranteeing you perfect weather in Palm Springs. Can we put our hands together and give the Harms family a round of applause for their support? You guys, thank you for supporting Books for Africa. Thank you for giving us your place in Palm Springs. This is a big deal. It's a 5-night stay. It is a 3-bedroom home. It has a pool, the spa, the tennis courts, everything. There's golf for 4 people. It's a $6,500 value. Again, you can negotiate when you do it. Here we go. It's item number 2 in the live auction. They're bidding even before I ask the price. Sir, do you want to give me $100,000 to start? Give me $3,000 to start. Is that okay? $3,000. I have $2,000. Thank you. I bid $2,000. Thank you. Now $25,000. I have $2,500. Now $3,000 down. $3,000. Now $3,500 down. $4,000. Thank you. $45,000. I have $4,500. Now $5,000 down. Now $5,000. The bid is there. I bid $4,500. Now $5,000 down. Now $5,000. The bid is there. $4,500. And thank you. The bid is $5,000. Ma'am, give me $5,500 down. Now $5,500 down. $5,000 there. Now $50,000. One more. Even $5,500. I have $5,000. The bid is $5,000. Now $5,500 down. Now $5,500. Anyone else at $5,500? The lady with the huge smile has the bid. She's at $5,000. I have $5,000 right here. She's at $5,000. Now $5,500 down. Friends, somebody give me $5,500. She's at $5,000. $5,000 right here. I bid $5,000. Now $5,500 down. Anyone else? It is third and final call. We're gonna sell it $5,000. $5,500. $5,500. Ma'am, I sold it to you for $5,000. Congratulations. She bought it for $5,000. Number 442. Katie, thank you, thank you, thank you. She bought it.
I can't tell you the last time I was at an auction where they did the bump. Boy, these guys back there really meant business. How about this for item number 3, a trip to Moab, Utah. That's right, this trip includes airfare. I love that idea of airfare being included for 3 days at excuse me everyone, my glasses here. 3 days at a secluded retreat in Utah featuring a pool, sauna, hot tub, and views of the wonderful mountains for every window in this space. Trip to Moab, Utah. That's it, item number 3.
All right, everybody, again, it's a 3-day trip. It's just under a $4,000 opportunity. Can we give Norma a round of applause? She's the donor that helped put package number 3 together. A huge thank you to Norma. for her generosity. Again, you're getting $1,000 for airfare. You can negotiate when you do it. 3 days, you're going to Utah, everybody. Here we go, just under $4,000 opportunities. Somebody give me $1,000 to start it. Thank you. I have 1,000 right here, not $1,500 out. Thank you, $1,500. Ma'am, give me $2,000. Thank you. I'm at $225. I have 2,000 right here, not $2,500 out, not $2,500 out. The bid is right here at $2,000. We have 2,025. Is that okay? $2,500 out. They did. Patrick's at 25. You need a vacation, Patrick. 25. Thank you. Ma'am, give me $3,000 out, not 3,000. Now 3,000. One more time. $3,000. I have 2,500 right here. Now $3,000 down. Now 3,000. She did. Thank you. The bid is $3,000. Patrick, give me 3,500. 3,500. Patrick, you can skip 2 board meetings if you bid 3,500. I have 3,000. Now $3,500 down. Now $3,500 down. The bid is there. 35. Thank you. I have 3,500. Now $4,000 down. Ma'am, give me $4,000. Now $4,000. That's asked for it in the first place. Give me $4,000. I have 3,500. Now $4,000 down. Take 3,750. It is certain final call. Last call. $3,750 down. It's last call. Down it goes. 3,500. Anyone else at $3,750 down? I did. 3,750. We sold it for $3,500. Patrick, you bought it. Patrick, your number is he's coming number 162. Number
Thank you.
162. Here's item number 4 in the live auction.
And thank you, Pat, at 162 for that. Now, here is an amazing auction item. If you don't know, now you do. The winner of this item will receive an all-inclusive Invisalign or braces from any of the 13 Minnesota orthodontics locations across the Twin Cities. If you don't know, now you know. This is an incredible opportunity for someone out there, a child in your family, a spouse, who knows? But Invisalign and braces, come on, Glenn, what are we going to do here?
All right, everybody, they have an entire table here, the Minnesota orthodontics table. Wait, are they right here? Ladies, thank you for your support. Can we give Minnesota Orthodontics a round of applause?
Yeah.
This is a big gift, everybody. It's a great donation. The value is $6,400. Is that right? Is there anything that we forgot to mention about it? Okay.
Yes.
Owned business.
Come on now, woman-owned.
Women-owned business.
That's it. There you go.
Okay. Serving the community. We take medical assistance.
Beautiful.
You know what that means? People that can afford it for many years. And yes, we provide smile to all the community, all color, everybody. And they're happy with us. Yes. And this will help many kids to get a beautiful smile, either with Invisalign or braces, whatever they choose. So thank you for this team to provide a wonderful smile to many kids in the community.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Please bid big time.
And thank you for that little caveat of bidding big time. That's right.
That's right. It's item number 4 in the live auction. It's a $6,400 value. You're getting the entire braces package. Here we go, my friends. It's item number 4 in the live auction. Somebody give me $2,000 to start. Here we go. Thank you. I have 2 right here. Not $2,500 down. Not 25. Thank you. I have 25. Now $3,000 down. Not $3,000. They did $3,000. I have 3,000 right here. Now $3,500 down. The bid is there. 3,000. Friends, somebody give me 3,500. I have $3,000 right here. Now $3,500 down. Now 35. Thank you. I bid 3,500. Now $4,000 down. I'll take 3,750. She's gonna do it. 3,750. Thank you. 3,750. Ma'am, don't even look at your husband. Look right at me. Give me 4,000. Don't worry about him. 4,000.
Yeah.
She did. Thank you. 4,000. You guys, we have marriage counseling after the auction. I have $4,000. I'm at 4,000. Now $4,250 out. Now $4,250. The bid is right here at $4,000. I have 4,000 right here. Now $4,250 out. Now $4,250 out. Anyone else? We're gonna sell it. $4,000 is there. I'm at 4,000. Now $4,250 out. Now $4,250 out. I did, ma'am. I sold it to you for $4,000. Congratulations. Number 154. Great job, you guys. You just raised $4,000, and you got a kiss because of it. They bid $4,000. Here's our final item in the live auction.
Here we have item number 5, dinner with Tom Worth. Enjoy dinner for 2 and conversation with Books for Africa founder Tom Worth in this outstanding lodge opportunity, the Outing Lodge at Pine Point. Imagine a turn-of-the-century European home in the countryside surrounded by lawns and gardens a la Jane Austen, the novel, you know. The winner of this retreat will also have a chance to do the downtown Downtown Abbey Christmas dinner, a longtime favorite for many of the customers of the Outing Lodge. This is item number 5.
All right, everybody, we have one item left in the live auction. Can we give the talented T. Michael Rambo a round of applause for being with us tonight? T. Michael, thank you for emceeing. Great job. We've had a great live auction and a great giving moment. One final word, and matter of fact, he's the perfect example of this. Our founder, he would have never gotten to where he's at today, and this organization would never be here without his passion. We are lucky, Tom, to have you as our founder. Can we put our hands together for Tom Worth for everything that he's done? Tom, thank you for your leadership, for your passion, your enthusiasm. He's going to end our program in a second. It is Dinner with Tom. The first person to give me $1 million, I will sell it to you right away. Somebody give me $500 to start on Dinner with Tom. Thank you. I have 500, 750. The bid is there. 750, now 1,000. Thank you. I have 1,000 right here. Now $1,500 down. Friends, somebody give me 1,500. The bid is right here at 1,000. I bid 1,000. Now $1,500 down. Now $1,500. Somebody give me 1,250. Ma'am, I'll take 1,250. The bid is there. 1,000. Now $1,250 down. Now $1,250 down. Anyone else at 1,250? We have $1,000 right here. The bid's 1,000. I have 1,000. Somebody give me $1,250 down. Anyone else at 1,250? It is third and final call. Thank you. 1,250. Good job, T. Michael. Friends, give me 1,500. No pressure, but Tom is looking right at you. Give me 1,500. I have 1,250. Now $1,500 down. Now $1,500 down. Now 1,500. And now 1,500. I'm at 1,250. Now $1,500 down. Now $1,500 down. I did. We sold it for $1,250. Let's give them a round of applause. They bought it. And your number, you guys, they're going to hold up their bidding number 218. Thank you, everyone. What a great night.
Wow. Let's hear it again for Glenn Flattabo, my friend and yours, the Books for Africa. Glenn's done an amazing job. A thunderous round of applause once again for Glenn Flattabo. Fantastic. Now, we're about to hear from a gentleman that I had the great pleasure of sharing a table with and also getting a chance to meet him just some time ago. Back several months ago, we met there in St. Paul at a wonderful restaurant there on Grand Avenue, and what a grand man he is. This man is the founder of Books for Africa. 35 years ago, after his one trip to Uganda where he noticed the absence of books, and he realized the importance of how books give color to light and shape to the breeze. It gives an opportunity for a child to leave home without ever turning a page and going off to places they never imagined. Tom understood the significance of what it meant for a child to have a book, and he has continued this mission, this dedication, this passion for over 35 years. Please give him a thunderous round of applause for Tom Worth.
Okay, here I am again, yet again. You are in for a rare treat. I've actually written my speech. I don't ever do that, but anyway, I want to thank you all for coming and for your generous donations. We are also extremely grateful to our book donors and our thousands of volunteers. The volunteers haven't been mentioned, but in Atlanta, we get thousands of people in that warehouse sorting. This organization wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the volunteers sorting into categories of books. But too often, unacknowledged is our incredible staff who make this operation run so smoothly. Brad and the wonderful group in Atlanta. We haven't mentioned Atlanta. Atlanta is the core of this business. That's where the books go out of, and they get the final sort. And Pat, who leads us here and guides the whole organization. And our very important contract employees, Lane Ayers of Law and Democracy, and Doug Stone, our PR guru. Those of you here, please stand. Let's give them a big hand. Any employees? And Lane, where are you? And Doug? I guess most of the employees are washing the dishes, maybe. I don't know. I now want to call your attention to a fact that has become apparent to me over these past 35 years. We here in Minnesota, in the USA, have created an entity which has the potential to bring education through reading to the whole of the African continent. Nobody in the world has the experience and know-how we have developed over these 35 years. Think of that. We here have done that. Books for Africa. My dream is for us to provide the 400 million children on the continent a book to take home. We can do it with your help and with others who will join us on this endeavor in the future. We have made incredible steps in furnishing books to libraries, but now we need to go further. How many of you grew up in a home with not one book? Hands up, any of you who grew up in a house with no book? Any of you? There's two people over here, and probably there's about 4 of you. I mean, that's incredible. There's a man over here from Nigeria. You know, but while we're eating here, I think it's safe to say that most of those 400 million, there are 400 million children on the continent, tonight in a house with no book. Now think of that. All of us lucky people who had books to look at. There are 400 million children, most of them with no book in the house. And I think we can do something. I know I may not be around for our 50th anniversary. Thank you, Tammy. But most of you will, and so I expect you to accomplish this goal. Sometime in the future, the African book famine will be no more. You may well be the ones to have ended it, and thus put Books for Africa out of business. This should be the ambition of all of us. Thank you.
Well, Tom, that was an amazing speech. Brevity is something else. You just jumped in there and gave it your heart and just kept on going. You know, there's something about what Tom just talked about. And that's just the beauty of knowing that when a child can touch a book, the actual act of turning a page. This week, Monday, I was able to say that I'm able to stand here proudly in front of you and say I'm the author of a book. I just completed a book called Stories from My Grandmother's Hands with a gentleman named Resma Minikim. And together we have just created a book, a children's book. And you know, Tom spoke of what I think is a great quote by Maya Angelou. And that is, to reach for the stars is ambitious, but to reach hearts is wise. It's wise what you have done, because you've touched the heart of all the people in this room, and you've touched the heart of so many for over 35 years. That's amazing. My great-grandmother, my great aunt, actually, is my grandmother's sister, she used to say, "Heaven hope us." And I remember as kids, she would rock in a rocking chair, and she'd say, "Baby, heaven hope us, heaven hope us." And as kids, we used to just kind of giggle and think maybe Granny was kind of, ooh, ooh, you know. Because we grew up singing "Heaven hope us, heaven help us," right? Well, my cousin said, you know, "Granny, why do you always say heaven hope us, heaven hope us?" She said, "Well, baby, you got to have hope if your help is ever going to come." It's a beautiful thing that through your help, hope is realized by so many young people. Because you have believed in this program, Books for Africa. Because you believe in the mission that Tom set out to accomplish 35 years ago and has continued to keep strong. You've understood that believing makes a difference. And I want you to know that I believe that you will continue to keep this mission going strong for those 15 more years and into the point of there being no need for Books for Africa. Because just think. If you believe deep in your heart, you know that no one can change the path that you must go. Believe what you feel and know you're right, because the time will come around when you say it's yours. Ooh, I tell you, believe there's a reason to be. Believe that you can make time stand still, and know from the moment you try, if you believe, then you'll be there. Believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the magic inside your heart. Believe all these things, not because I told you to. No, if you believe in yourself, yes, Lord, if you believe in yourself, you believe, say yes. If you believe in yourself, like Books for Africa believes in you, believes in you. We believe, y'all. We believe so much that I have a real serious faith, an unimaginable faith, that what's going to happen in this room is that we're going to have some of our volunteers move around with these Books for Africa boxes. You see, because right now is a chance for us to gain 100% participation. Even if you already donated, even if you already have contributed to the fund in need or the auction, what I'd love for you to do is to take your paddle and just raise it up for a second. Everybody raise your paddle. I'm not, don't be scared, I'm not Glenn. All right. This opportunity, if you want to keep that paddle up, your paddle will drop into one of these boxes, and at $50, each paddle that goes in a box will be donating $50 to ensure that 100 books in a box goes into a container taking 22,000 books to Africa. So volunteers, come around. Look at all these paddles that are still up that we're going to collect. And collect those, take them. Come on, you all. Lift them up high, everybody. We want to do that because you believe. You believe. Yes, you believe. You believe in what we do. Oh, yeah. What you're doing tonight. Oh, yes, it's out of sight. Go ahead and put your paddles in the box. Make a difference tonight. Cause we're gonna send books to Africa. Gonna send books to Africa. Cause you believe. Yes, you do. You believe in what we do. We believe in you. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you for your generosity. That last opportunity to ensure more books are going to Africa. Now, tonight, our event is coming to a close. We can all say a collective awe. Our event's coming to a close. You don't sound sad enough. That was a little better. Now, if you've bid on a live auction item and you were the winner of that auction item, we'll find you. So you don't have to do anything. If you did a fund a need, we'll find you too. But if you want to check out tonight, we have a gentleman out at the reception area who'll be happy to assist you to check out this evening. You can use your computer, look at me. Yeah, I know what's called Snapbook and Face Chat, you know. Snapbook, Face Chat. Am I aging myself? If you want to use the QR code, you can take your phone, your hand computer, and do that. But if you don't have anything else you want to do, the one thing we want you to do is remember to hold everybody up and to lift up people by being kind. You heard that earlier tonight. Be kind to someone. Be generous, be thoughtful, be kind. And don't forget, heaven help us, because without hope, your help is never going to come. We hope that you have a wonderful evening. Travel safely. Thank you for joining us for the 35th anniversary of Books for Africa. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you to our speakers, and thank you to our volunteers, and thanks to all of you. Have a fine evening.